What about their feelings?
Who are we?
Team Stars! Who are we? Team Stars!
There you go. Smart and Final, DC, Riverside, California. They're striking. I think I have somewhere a map, if I can pull it up, a map somewhere of what this will mean, if I can find it in all my show notes tonight. But apparently this is going to affect and impact a lot of the country with the video footage that, or the map that has been put out tonight in regards to the ports that are going to be impacted. A lot of them are on the East Coast that are going to be impacted. What are you guys hearing about this? What are your thoughts? Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Reality is that it's going to affect us for Christmas, which is a big time of the year for many. Let's take away the big companies, the Amazons and the rest of them, because they'll survive. But the small people who count on Christmas for their business are going to be hugely impacted, and it could cause a lot of them to go out of business. And what's really upsetting about it is the fact of the cavalier attitude that Biden has about everything. He's an idiot. He has always been an idiot. I don't know, when I was in law school, Mr. Biden, I was taught to act versus react. You're just nothing more than a reactionary buffoon. He sits there and legitimately allows what's going on in Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and he says we can't get in there. Well, how are all these little small Cessna planes bringing in like 8 to 10 tons of supplies? There's something, Mr. Biden, called helicopters. Hello. You know, you can get in there, but you see, he's such a nitwit, and you've got her over there with her $60,000 necklace on the border for 20 minutes in San Francisco, meeting with all of her communist friends and getting ready to do their thing. So all those people out there that are walking zombies that are voting for these people, you're going to get what you deserve. And I assure you, I've said it before, you're going to wake up one morning and somebody's going to knock on your door and you're going to leave your house because they're going to take it. This is absolute insanity. The fact of him not engaging on this at this time will pay us back, and it'll pay us back also with this ridiculous activity that's going on with Powell. You got that nitwit coming on TV to tell us how great the economy is. That's like Donald Duck saying that he's in love with Mickey Mouse. It's nuts.
We also, by the way, have Ryan Matta, who is one of the major producers for our host J.J. Carroll's This Is Treason. He's put out tonight, every migrant shelter across America will be out of food and resources in less than a week. You wanted chaos and violence? You wanted America to feel more pain? Well, guess what? You're about to get your wish. So there you go.
Yeah.
To all of you who have not stocked up, I don't know what else to say to you. To those of you who cannot afford to stock up, let me say, I pray for you and I'm very concerned for you. And I pray that you can find a real legitimate church in your community that will help you in your hour of need. But for the rest of you, if you have not stocked up, you should do it. You can go to wvwtvstore.com, get all the freeze-dried food you want. We have it in stock. wvwtvstore.com. If you have not made a run to Costco and stocked up everything you can possibly do, you should do it now. My wife just said to me before I walked into the studio, it's coming apart at the seams, Brandon, on a global scale everywhere. It's chaos everywhere I'm watching the news. I'm like, yeah, by design. That's exactly what, again, Ryan Matta has put out. Every migrant shelter across America will be out of food in less than a week. I got a video somewhere here where we also have, let's see if this is it. No, that's not it. Let me find one. This is a bunch of illegal scum. This is Eastern Tennessee. Okay, I'm in Western Tennessee. Eastern Tennessee, we now have video footage coming out of illegals were caught looting in Eastern Tennessee as locals were fighting for their lives. Okay, this is the scum they've let in the country. Take a look at this.
Side you can drag them with. Side by side, rope them up, man. Side you can drag them with. Side by side, rope them up, man.
There you go. So you think it's bad now? You ain't seen nothing yet, America, because this is exactly what they are orchestrating. This is exactly what they want to have happen. All right, I guess we better. Oh, here are the ports. Look, here's the map of the ports from Fox News tonight. Potential port strike locations, and I guess that's going to happen at midnight tonight, right, Wes?
Yeah, and there's 14 ports. They're saying when the contract expires, there's 14 ports on the Gulf East Coast affecting $5 billion in daily trade. The disruption would likely lead to supply chain congestion and increased transportation costs, particularly for retailers who rely heavily on these ports, which obviously makes sense. But yeah, it's $5 billion a day. And they mentioned some of the companies, Dollar Tree, which moves 50% of its products through these ports. American Apparel and Footwear Association, 53% of their products go through those ports. And yeah, it won't take long for the grocery store shelves to empty if this strike lasts any length whatsoever. So it's good advice, Brandon, telling everybody to be prepared, to get ready to stock up. I'm always one to be prepared well in advance. I think I've told you before how my daughters, when I was buying freeze-dried food, how my daughters one day an order came in and I opened it up and they had a couple girlfriends over here and they were teasing me. They're like, "What is that?" And I said, "It's lasagna." They were teasing, "What are you buying that stuff for?" And I said, "Well, hopefully we never need it, but if we do, you're going to be glad we have it." So
that's right.
It's all about being prepared.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's go to, ask Michael. He's been through the Great Depression. He knows what it's like.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go to American Dream cost
54 or the one in 19? Which one are you talking about?
the one in 19 that started after the 29 crash.
Oh, there was one in 29 in AD, 29 AD.
Oh, that one no, you're not that old. No. American Dream cost $4.4 million. Investopedia says the American Dream cost. What does that mean? What does that mean, Michael? The American Dream costs $4.4 million.
Means in order to reach that happy point of your life when you retire, you're going to need to earn.
Oh, a lifetime of earnings.
4.
Yeah, there's a video. If you want to play the video, there's a video there, Brandon.
Oh, am I going to sit through one of their stupid 5-minute commercials?
Probably.
Why do you do this? No, look, I don't. Wow, that's a rarity. I just think you do this to get my blood pressure up and get me mad.
The American dream is hard to describe. For some, it's all about financial success and owning a home. For others, it represents freedom, educational opportunities, or the pursuit of happiness. However you define it, one thing is clear.
Okay, can I tell you something real quick, though? The dude in the military uniform, I don't know if that's a military uniform or it's supposed to be. He's not going to be making $4.4 million in our military. So you might want to rethink that career choice.
Of happiness. However you define it, one thing is clear. Achieving the American dream comes with a hefty price tag. A new report from Investopedia projects the American dream now costs a staggering $4.4 million. Is this even attainable? And how can we reach it? Here to weigh in is Caleb Silver, Investopedia editor-in-chief. Caleb, $4.4 million. How did you come up with this number, and how does it compare to last year? And that was the first year of the report.
Yeah, 4.4 million sounds like a lot because it is a lot, but we're talking about a lifetime of earnings, right? 25 to 65. How much money you would need to have the things that we want, not necessarily need. So we were looking at what people were actually searching for on our site. We always do this. And last year, the American dream kept popping up. And it wasn't like, what is it? But could I ever attain it? And given the price of everything, especially housing, especially education, and rising costs for healthcare, more and more people felt disassociated with it. So we put this number on it. But these are the wants. We're talking about having enough for retirement, right? Having enough to pay for a wedding, raising a couple kids, sending them to a public university. So 4.4 million over that lifetime. Yes, a big number. Last year, a little bit closer to 3.5 million. But we looked at what people actually.
Okay, can I help you guys out? First of all, number one, wedding. $5,000. That's not a hard one, people. Quit spending $20,000 on a wedding. Why are you guys? Not maybe this audience isn't doing it, but why do people do this? I know a guy about to have a wedding for his daughter. I think I'm supposed to go to it. They're going to spend like $15,000, $16,000 just for the stupid band. I'm not kidding you. Okay. Then there's the venue. These weddings are costing $50,000 to $100,000. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? Okay. And then raising children. That's expensive. But whoever said you had to have your kids involved in every stinking sport and travel sports and take them on a traveling team, volleyball, soccer, and then and baseball, and spend all this money on eating out at restaurants and hotels? Dumb, 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 dumb. Okay? Not the way to parent children. Do what you want to. It's not the way to parent children. Okay? These kids need to learn to be happy with some crayons and a coloring book. Okay? No wonder their marriages end. They have been entertained their whole life, catered to their whole life. They can't learn how to be happy with a box of crayons and a coloring book? Come on. This is how I was raised. We didn't have a lot of extra money around, okay? We were raised during the Carter years of massive inflation. You had to enjoy life with simple things, okay? I learned to read. I learned to play with Lincoln logs and Legos and have, as I said the other night, crabapple fights. I mean, we used to tear each other apart with slingshots and crab apples. Come on. But we raise these kids that are catered to with traveling sports. Really? What is your kid going to be, a professional? I don't think so. But you're spending all the money on traveling sports and restaurants and hotels, and guess what? You get into your life and you're broke. Then what else? Oh, wait a minute. College. Whoever said you had to pay for your kids to go to college? Nobody paid for me to go to college. The little bit I went to, I paid for myself. And then I said to the professor, the business professor, hey, you're the business professor. I'm going to get a business degree from you. How many businesses have you run? 0. The idiot hadn't run one business. I owned a very successful commercial cleaning company. I was doing better than my brother, who was an attorney at the point, running a commercial cleaning company. Doctor's offices, office buildings. I mean, how dirty is a doctor's office, for Pete's sake? Not that bad, okay? You know, no one paid for me to go to college. Where did this come off? You got to pay for your kids to go to college. Why? It's a third vomitorium, a third house of ill repute, and a third drug den. So here's what I say. The average American has no money at the end of their life because no one has taught them A, money management, B, they have been lied to that they got to pay for all this stuff that no one ever said you had to pay for. You're just trying to keep up with the Jones, and you've been told this is what a good parent does. Well, I don't care. You don't get to decide what's a good parent. I do. Parent your kids the way you want, be broke at the end of your life. That's up to you, that's all.
That's all. Brandon, do they know that you'll sing at the wedding for half that price? You'll do it for $7,000?
My kids? No, I encourage all my kids to elope. Huh? No,
this family that's having the wedding that you're inviting.
Oh, yeah, for the $16,000 for the band, yeah, I'll gladly sing at the wedding for $5,000. I told all my kids, elope. Your mother and I did it. You should do it. It's great. It's cheap. You're done. Bing a bang. We're out of here.
Justice of the peace.
Thanks, Brandon.
That's what we did.
My mother used to tell me when she was raised during the Depression, her mother used to tell her if she didn't have milk for her cereal, use water and think milk. At the end of the day, colleges used to cost very reasonable amounts of money. I went to the University of Michigan. It was $208 a semester and went up to $240 at the end, including law school. It was $258. My son, when he was at U of M Law School, it cost me $23,000.
And you paid for it? You didn't tell me you didn't pay for it.
He got a scholarship.
There you go, boy.
At the end of the day, though, why did it go up so much? It went up.
Thank you for cleaning that up, Michael.
Because of the fact that the teachers want to get paid top dollar. These communist geniuses who teach our kids want to get paid $500,000 a year to teach you. That's why your schools cost so much. Not because the university's pretty, not because they get a nice bed, not because the books cost so much. It's because what the teachers, the dean, the coaches, what everybody gets paid, you're paying for them like they are, Michael Jordan in a basketball game. That's why you're paying so much for universities.
Yeah, well, look, it obviously isn't working out. This is where my wife graduated from. She went 2 years at Northwestern and then Bible, and now then she finished up and graduated at Bethel University. Bethel University cutting tuition by $18,000 starting next year. This is in the Twin Cities. I'm just using this because I heard the rumor they are cutting their tuition. Leaders hoping the new pricing model will bring more transparency for incoming students and their parents. How about the fact that people can't afford it anymore? Starting in the fall of 2025, costs for tuition at Bethel will be lowered to $25,990 a year, down from the current sticker price of $44,000. So almost cutting their, not quite half. Do the math on that, Wes. You're a smart boy. From $44,000 down to $25,990. What is that, 40%?
About a 40% discount.
They're cutting the cost of their tuition by 40%. Now, is that because they realized their tuition was too high, or is it because people can't afford it, or maybe they got a humongous endowment program going now? I don't know. But apparently, a lot of people are figuring out what I figured out. College is a joke, okay? My business professor had never run one business, never started one company. And I said to him, I've actually got a company I'm running now. I was taking night classes. I should be teaching this class, not you. Didn't go over so well. After a few weeks of this, a few months of that, I said, you know what? Forget this. I am out of here. And I didn't go to college. And you know what? You know what? They ended up putting some of my books in college, Christian colleges, because the books I was writing on Worldview, Grave Influence, Religious Trojan Horse, they put them in their college classes. I mean, Bill Gates, Rush Limbaugh, Peter Jennings, keep going down the list. None of these guys went to college. Most of your entrepreneurs never went to college, okay? People that don't know how go to college. That's just reality, unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer. Am I wrong, Wes?
Yeah, no, that's what I was just going to say. There are certain fields where you obviously have to go to college. You said being an attorney, a doctor, a pharmacist, those types of things.
Right.
But there's so many bogus degrees out there where they're just stealing people's money. That if they went to a trade school or some other form of college on-the-job training, they would be much better off. I mean, even with Bethel lowering their cost that much, you still get out of college with $100,000 that degree is going to cost you.
And that used to be a decent school. You know, full disclosure, they used to be a corporate sponsor. I produced big outdoor concerts at St. Paul's Como Park for 12 summers, about 6 concerts a summer with orchestras and choirs and patriotic things and a free corn roast. We gave the corn away. We had a massive national furniture store that sponsored it. We had TV commercials. We had radio commercials. It was a big deal that I had built up over 12 years. And Bethel College was a major sponsor. They were a good sponsor. But that college has drifted to the left, like all of them. Northwestern College, a lot of them have drifted to the left. In fact, when my wife was at Bethel, she was a majoring in social work. She was a medical social worker. She had a professor that used to mock her. She said, I bet you and your husband, I bet he balances the checkbook and you do all the cooking and cleaning and you live out traditional sex roles. And he would mock her in front of the class. And she was like, oh, yeah, exactly. That's exactly the way it works. I mean, he was like total liberal. I'm like, this is what you're getting there? Yeah. So thankfully she graduated, got out, but sadly these colleges have gone to the left. So you're paying a lot of money for your kid to be either harassed in some of the classes, and if not that, brainwashed by woke ideologies.
Well, there's nothing wrong with trade schools. There's nothing wrong with a good trade school and picking up a trade, especially for a lot of guys and gals where they need them or paying a ton of money. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with like my niece who wanted to be a nurse and she joined the military. They paid for the whole thing.
There you go.
Great education. There's nothing wrong with looking at the intelligent way to go to college other than trying to say, I've got to go away to this school or that school. So it's absolutely the case. And as an aside, Brandon, Wes and I are bringing a basket of crab apples, and we're going to challenge you to a battle. So.
You got a deal. I hope you can keep up with my slingshot. I got a wrist rocket. Remember those puppies?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We did all this without any eye gear. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 70s.
We're going to be ready, Brandon. We're going to be ready.
Yeah. We actually use BB guns, which I don't recommend doing that.
No.
I had a pump BB gun, and I was only allowed to like pump it up twice. A lot more just like lever action, which one was pump would build up pressure. And if someone was a long ways away, I'm like, they're way out there. I can pump it up 5-6 times.
It's amazing. We all have our eyes.
Kids do not do this at home.
Yeah. The views and opinions of Wes Peters are not necessarily those of the host or the network. Is a slow-mo nationalization of the economy. Tell me about that, Wes.
Slow-mo nationalization of economy. Let's find that one over here in my little list.
It's about currency.
What's that, Mike?
It's about currencies. It's the fact of the failing U.S. dollar and the debt which is getting out of control. And because of the debt is getting worse and worse and worse, they're going to use that, like you're talking about, neutering the country. They're neutering our financial system to a point where the only way out will be government control. That's why you have the idiot Powell coming on TV and trying to give us false sense of hopes, and your financial planner telling you that the stock market's going to go up forever, and all the rest of it. Yes, we keep creeping down lower and lower. Everybody's uncomfortable. Everybody knows their gut's speaking to them that something is going wrong. It doesn't make sense. And you're going to wake up one morning and they're going to control all of it, because they'll just do like they do during COVID and say the only solution is we take it over. Period. That's the only solution.
Okay, let's go to this one real quick before we run out of time. Will Kamala Harris's plan to raise the corporate tax rate by 33% cause stocks to plunge? I guess there's a history of this, right, Wes?
Yeah. It's a job killer, an industry killer. I mean, absolutely. Let me find it here. Let's see. Yeah, increasing the tax rate from 21 to 28%, which they say it would raise an estimated $4.1 trillion in taxes over the next decade to help reduce the national debt. I got a news flash. How about you stop spending more money than you bring in, and try spending actually less money than you bring in to get that deficit down. U.S. federal deficit has ballooned 1.7 trillion, bringing the national debt to 35 trillion. The S&P 500 Shiller price to earnings ratio is at 36.9, more than double its historical average, signaling that the stock market is extremely expensive, a concern for investors regardless of the corporate tax rate. Historically, stock markets have eventually experienced significant correction after reaching such high valuation levels, with losses ranging from 20% to 89% following similar peaks. So, increasing corporate tax rate, that is not going to solve the problem. That's going to force companies to take their manufacturing back over to China. Trump did everything he could to get those jobs and money back into the United States. And Kamala is going to do everything to make these companies flee the U.S. and take those dollars offshore. So.
And then let's go to this one real quick. We've got one that's related to silver, if I can find it real quick. Pull that back down, I'll go grab it. Silver is starting to break out. Here's what to watch. Tell me, where's it going? Where's silver going, Michael?
Silver's going to head up, as I said. We'll talk about $50.
Look at that. It's likely to surge toward $50. That's a record, right? 50 an ounce?
Well, over 50 will be a record. If it hits like 52, it'll be a record. It's just not going to hit 500. But reality is the guys that run this market, guys and gals, they get to a point with silver that they skyrocket it. And that's sort of like a bottle rocket, as it used to be called in the industry. That's where, if you remember a bottle rocket where it shoots straight up and comes back down, that's what silver does. So you got to be very careful, and you got to buy it smart. I wouldn't say that the banks are the ones pushing it as much as it's being manipulated by the people in the market, as everything is manipulated by people in the market, because we don't have an honest marketplace. So they will run it up, and we've got to watch it carefully to make sure that we take advantage of making sure that when it's time to take profits, we do so.
All right, so Mike, Wes, tell them about the packet of information.
Yeah, I would just encourage everyone, if you haven't already, or if maybe it's been a lot of people reaching out to us, Brandon, that I originally talked to you guys 2-3 years ago. I need to explore this again. Whether you requested information before or you're the first time, text.
Get the packet right there, 602-558-8585. There's the music. Take care. Tonight on the Worldview Report, a chemical plant blows up in Georgia, spewing toxic smoke for miles and requiring thousands to be evacuated from their homes. Israel assassinated Hezbollah's top commander, but they may not be done reaching out and touching their enemies, so says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Rising mortgage rates and home prices have left an entire generation on the outside looking in when it comes to achieving the American dream, which has led to a new trend in housing, we'll explain. And the Tennessee National Guard is struggling to keep up with the needs of flooded out Tennessee communities, thanks to their ranks being thinned out by, wait for it, a deployment to the Middle East. All these stories and more as the Worldview Report begins right now.
This is Worldview Report with host Brandon House. Whether it is news from the nation's capital or your state capital, from the classroom to the boardroom, from national security to national and local news that impacts you and your family, Worldview Report is your trusted source for vital and uncensored news. And now, here is Brandon House.
Good evening and welcome to the Worldview Report. A Georgia chemical plant ignited in flames on Sunday morning, reportedly due to a sprinkler malfunction that caused a chemical reaction, sending billows of smoke into the air. The plant in Connors, Georgia, is about 30 miles east of Atlanta off Interstate 20. There have been several similar catastrophes since the Biden-Harris administration took office, notably a train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. And as we know, that spilled toxic chemicals and poisoned the air and water of the community. Kamala Harris was campaigning in Las Vegas, Nevada Sunday, seemingly unbothered by the chemical explosion or the severe flooding from Hurricane Helene that has caused dozens of deaths and hundreds more in emergency rescues of families trapped in their homes by rising floodwaters. Watch this.
Said an ANF reporter, and you're pretty connected with the ANF. What? Hold on.
In the early afternoon on Sunday, Rockdale County Sheriff Eric Levette stood in front of the massive plume of smoke to provide an update and tell residents to, quote, stay away from this area, end quote. And here's what it looked like from the highways.
I want to put him beside it. Wow. We come and take over your...
Residents in the area were immediately evacuated and asked to stay inside with windows closed to prevent exposure to the hazardous materials. Rockdale County put out an emergency alert at 10:45 a.m. asking churches to, quote, cancel all church services for the day, end quote, and, quote, if a church service is already in session, please disperse immediately and do not travel through the affected area of town, end quote. Well, a couple years ago, we began to warn here on the Worldview Report and Brandon House Live about what's called gray terror. Gray terror is what occurs in a nation from an enemy state or terrorist groups before they begin their initial and full assault on the enemy. So we have to ask, the train derailments, the plant explosions, the food processing centers, is this all gray terror? Is this an enemy of America doing this in advance of World War III? Or is it just mere coincidence? Or is it even our own government doing it, the CIA or other such organizations, in order to help create chaos and dependency on the government by the government? All good questions, right? Well, following the assassination over the weekend of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear on Saturday that Israel's campaign against its adversaries is far from over, describing Nasrallah as the linchpin in Iran's strategy to destabilize the region. Netanyahu emphasized the significance of his removal, but underscored that Israel's mission continues. He leveraged this moment to send a stark warning to Tehran, asserting that Israel will not hesitate to extend its reach across the borders to protect its sovereignty and people. He said there is no place in Iran or in the entire region of the Middle East that the long arm of Israel cannot reach. Watch this.
And last April, for the first time ever, Iran directly attacked Israel from its own territory, firing 300 drones cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles at us. I have a message for the tyrants of Tehran. If you strike us, we will strike you. There is no place. There is no place in Iran that the long arm of Israel cannot reach, and that's true of the entire Middle East. Far from being lambs led to the slaughter, Israel's soldiers have fought back with incredible courage and with heroic sacrifice. And I have another message for this assembly and for the world outside this hall. We are winning.
The Defender reports that a case of measles in 2023, reported by the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention and mainstream media as being the state's first case in 4 years, was actually vaccine-induced. That's according to documents released on Tuesday by Informed Consent Action Network, or ICAN. Kim Mack-Rosenberg, a general counsel for Children's Health Defense, told the Defender that announcing false measles outbreaks are a well-worn tactic of state and federal governmental agencies to churn up fears about people who choose not to get vaccinated. Mack-Rosenberg told the Defender, quote, "We have seen measles used this way over and over. Here, the narrative backfired and Maine officials swept under the rug the fact that the child's measles strain was vaccine-related," end quote. Well, according to the Mayo Clinic, measles is a viral infection typically accompanied by a skin rash, fever, cough, runny nose, sore throat, inflamed eyes, and teeny white spots on the inner cheek. On May 5th, 2023, Maine's Department of Health and Human Services warned that the Maine CDC had been notified of a positive measles test. They claimed it was the state's first case of measles since 2019. The health department said that the child, quote, received a dose of measles vaccine, end quote, and that the Maine CDC officials were, quote, considering the child to be infectious out of an abundance of caution, end quote. The news was quickly picked up by mainstream outlets, such as CNN, which blamed, well, as you can expect, low vaccination rates for recent measles outbreaks. And USA Today, which stressed that the best way to prevent measles is for children and babies as young as 12 months old to get the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, also known as the MMR. However, the child's May 3rd, 2023 test results, which I can obtain via a Freedom of Information Act request, it revealed that the measles strain was, quote, consistent with vaccine strain, end quote, meaning the vaccine caused the child's rash symptoms. There was no outbreak of measles in Maine. It was simply a case of a child contracting measles from a measles vaccine. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has joined President Trump's team with a vow to make America healthy again. Some analysts are predicting that if they are victorious in November, Trump and Kennedy are the deep state's worst nightmare come true. Kennedy, well, he has promised to help Trump drain the swamp of those at the FDA, the USDA, the CDC, and the NIH, who have all colluded with the big food industry to, well, literally poison Americans and their children. Watch Kennedy's revealing video on how the FDA is signing off on alleged poisoning of Americans.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm, and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? Well, a big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down. But when it's the government that approves the poisons in our food, a few people get very, very rich, and the toxins end up in every supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, gummy bears. Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tartrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that it may cause ADHD in children. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kids' favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kids' snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get sick. And we lovingly feed them chewable vitamins, which have, surprise, tartrazine.
In our previous broadcast, we reported on a case of a teenage athlete that died suddenly during a wrestling practice session, and his parents and doctors can't figure out why. And the media, they seem to be afraid to ask the right questions. Well, here we are, yet again, with another sad case to report, and it involves a preteen dying suddenly of unknown causes. Slay News reports that doctors say that they are baffled after a, quote, happy, healthy 12-year-old boy, end quote, was hospitalized with brain damage when he suffered a massive sudden heart attack. A Tennessee family has been left devastated to learn that Sammy Silverman, now 13, is severely brain damaged. Sam's parents said doctors have no idea why their son, who they say was in great health and very active, suddenly had a heart attack at the age of 12. The young teenager was a skilled soccer player, and he should be starting the 8th grade at Blackman Middle School in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But instead, for the past 6 weeks, he and his parents, Adam and Jeanette Silverman, have been at the Monroe Correll Jr. Children's Hospital in Nashville, so reports WSMV-TV. Sammy's parents, they say doctors still don't know why their son had a heart attack at 12. Jeanette Silverman told WSMV, quote, "You never think, hey, that's going to happen to my kid. Then it does," end quote. Sammy's parents say the heart attack happened in July. Adam Silverman said of his son, quote, "He collapsed in front of my eyes," end quote. Sammy's father performed CPR until medics arrived, and the medics told Sammy's parents they lost his pulse 4 times on the way to the hospital. Silverman say that the most frustrating part is that doctors are as baffled as they are. Adam Silverman told the local news outlet, quote, "They don't know why my son is in this position," end quote. Well, I guess we're supposed to believe this is normal. It's normal. And therefore, No explanation needed. Well, it's not normal, and I think there is an explanation. Here's a first step. Stop the shots. We'll be right back after this break. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now, and we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview. Welcome back from the break. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hey, don't forget our Ozarks Worldview Weekend is coming up on Friday night, November 1st. We've been holding Worldview Weekends since February of 1993. But this will be our 21st year to hold one in the Ozarks on beautiful Lake of the Ozarks. That's 1,150 miles of shoreline. Pretty incredible place. It's gorgeous. The rolling hills of the Ozarks. This is in central Missouri. I know a lot of people think Arkansas, but this is central Missouri, about an hour and a half north of Branson. Beautiful Lake of the Ozarks. It's at a gorgeous resort, and you can get your room right there. Use the group code WRLD when booking your room at the resort. Group code WRLD. That will get you the room rate we've negotiated and save you some money. Now, the conference starts on Friday night, November 1st. Full details at wvwtvstore.com, wvwtvstore.com. And there's a long list of speakers, and the topics will include transhumanism, technocracy, World War III, globalism, civil war in America, the invasion of America by military-age males, nuclear war, Bible prophecy. It'll also include economics, COVID, vaccines, the mRNA shots they're trying to push on us. It'll include the talk about CBDCs. So much will be covered through the lens of a Christian worldview and history. Full details, wvwtvstore.com. Now, that's Friday night, November 1st. The official conference begins. There is the optional concert banquet on Thursday night, October 31st. That is sold out the last 3 years. And I'll be bringing my grand piano and piano player. And again, I'll be singing a lot of the classic sacreds that so many people enjoy and love, particularly in these troubling days and times. We've been rehearsing now for a few weeks, and we'll film it, turn it into a TV special again, like we have done. But that concert banquet is sold out the last 3 years in a row. So please get your tickets to any of these events if you so desire. wvwtvstore.com. Now, if you prefer to register over the phone, you can do that by calling and leaving a voicemail for Melissa or text her what you need, and she'll get right back to you. 901-825-0652, 901-825-0652. New York City's Democrat Mayor Eric Adams has fired back after being indicted on federal criminal charges. Adams is accusing the Biden-Harris regime of targeting him with a federal investigation because he has been speaking out against the federal government's open border agenda. The mayor claims he has been defending New Yorkers from the flood of illegal aliens that have landed in his sanctuary city after illegally crossing the open southern border. Adams was indicted by a federal grand jury last Wednesday. The indictment filed by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan was unsealed on Thursday. It revealed that Adams has been charged with taking bribes and illegal campaign contributions from foreign nationals. According to the indictment, Adams, quote, solicited and demanded, end quote, bribes, including free and heavily discounted luxury travel benefits from a Turkish official. Adams is the first of New York City's 110 mayors to be criminally charged while in office. the home of the mayor, and by the way, the mayor says he does not plan to resign, but the home was searched by FBI agents early on Thursday. At a news conference that was held shortly after the indictment was unsealed, Adams asked people to, quote, wait to hear our defense before making any judgments, end quote. And then he added, quote, my day-to-day will not change. I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do, and the 300,000 plus employees of our city's government will continue to do their jobs because this is what we do as New Yorkers. This is an unfortunate day, and it's a painful day. But inside all of that is a day when we will finally reveal why, for 10 months, I've gone through this, end quote. He said he looks forward to defending himself. And here is Adams addressing the charges.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies. But they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target, and a target I became. For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty. Just this past week, they searched the home of our new police commissioner, looking for documents from 20 years ago, just 1 week after he joined my administration. Enough. I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit.
Well, now it's time for our nightly Worldview Report commentary. The Tennessean reports that the National Guard has been assisting desperate Tennesseans struggling in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Many of them are trapped in their homes by flooding, washed out roads, broken dams, and fallen trees. Some entire towns have been washed away. But these National Guard troops are severely undermanned without the help of more than 700 of their men. You see, they were deployed to Kuwait by the Biden-Harris regime. An independent journalist, Nick Sorter, reported that civilians are having to help each other in eastern Tennessee, where catastrophic flooding continues to put lives at risk. Here's footage from Newport, Tennessee, where a dam gave way under the pressure of massive flooding over the weekend. Watch this. Nick Sorter, well, he posted to Twitter that the Tennessee National Guard is nowhere to be found in eastern Tennessee, despite massive flooding and missing people. Why? Because Biden and Harris